we'll try to get the microphone to you. I'm thinking that may not work, or if you can come to us. But just if you have something that you'd like to share, some way that Pastor Herrmann impacted your life, we'd love to hear those things.
Good morning. My name is Joan, and I am Bob's older sister. So I could stand here for hours and tell you Bob's stories, but you don't need to hear that. When I was driving up here with my husband Mike this morning, I kept thinking about what has brought Bob to this area and where his life with God had started. And that goes back to a summer of 1973. I was in my first year at community college. Bob was just finishing his junior year in high school and tech school, where he was going to a program to become a machinist. He started hanging out with a group of guys in the summer, and they would work on cars, motorcycles, tinkering all summer. But in that summer of camaraderie with these guys in the neighborhood, it was also a time that he more or less, we found God in his life. These young men that he worked with on motorcycles and the engines of cars were members of a local Baptist church, and they invited Bob to join them in some fellowship. And it was there that Bob, as I say, found God again. We were all raised in a household of Methodists, so to make that step over to Baptist was not that far. But it was that summer when Bob had a new awakening and a new direction for his life. And it was the following year when he made the decision to go off to the Bible Baptist College of Clark Summit. And that's what brings us here today, was those young men that he hung out with that summer, fixing cars, fixing motorcycles, but also finding God. So I thank all of you for coming today. I see the impact my brother has had on your lives, and I appreciate that. So thank you so much, and for this chance to speak.
Someone else. Making the old guy run. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name's Tom Cleland. A lot of people know me as the Clee. Me and Pastor Bob were great friends, and I just want to say that he was not only a regular person, but an exceptional and special regular person. You know, I'm from New York. I was a Giant fan. Pastor Bob was from outside Philly. He was an Eagle fan. We'd have these toe-to-toes after church. Some days we'd watch TV at night if it was a night game. If it was a day game after church, we'd rush over and watch the Eagles and Giants or whoever played. But Pastor Bob brought all my 4 adult kids now to the Lord. And I just want to tell one story because Pastor Shupp and you know that I can go on for a lot. But is Bob Dibble here? Is Bob Dibble? Bob Dibble's still alive, right?
Yes.
Well, I was driving for Curtis Lumber in Lawrenceburg, 93, 94. And nobody knew where the First Baptist Church of Herrmann was. One of the older gentlemen there, I forgot his name now, he said, "That be up there in that little Kenyon town. It's just past the old Methodist church." So I come up here. They were building Sunday school rooms down below. This older gentleman, who I thought was the pastor, started helping me with the sheetrock, the Owens cording, fiberglass, you name it, bringing it through the church and downstairs to make Sunday school rooms. And just me being my friendly self, I turned around in the middle of the church to Bob Dibble, and I said, "Bob, you must be," I didn't say Bob, but I said, "You must be the pastor here, sir. My name's Tom Cleland." And Bob Dibble said, "No, the pastor's a young fellow, always disappears when there's work to be done." But we all love Pastor Bob and Donna, and they helped me and my wife and children, and we're doing okay because of them and God. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Guy right here. I'm Joan Harris, and I just have a few things I'd like to say. The one memory I have is the little argument we've had going for probably 10, 15 years. And no matter when we meet, it always has to come up because he brings it up. And I know by the smile on somebody's face, you know it's about the softball games. We had 10 women's softball teams in this area playing. He had the one team from Chestertown, and I was the director of the one from Thurman. His team was the only team that we could not beat. And every time he would have to tell me about that. And I would say, when he was up in the nursing home, I say, no, you don't remember things that way. I said, I won that team. We won that. No, you didn't. And he'd start laughing, and he'd start going on and on. And I had more fun with that than one little lie. He did win the team. That's the only team that beat us. But the other thing that is most important that I feel is, I was the postmaster here in Thurman. And jokingly, we used to say, I was like a bartender because people would come in the afternoon when it was low and they'd tell me about a problem they're having or something going on that upset them, or their baby was crying and I'd hold the baby while they calmed down, while the baby calmed down, so on and so forth. And because of this, I got a lot of people, quite a few people who were telling me their problems. And I would say to them, do you need somebody to talk to? And they said, well, I don't know who. I said, well, I can find somebody who will come and talk to you about what you're going through. So I'd call up the pastor, and I'd say, you know, I got so-and-so, they live up on such and such road, and they would like to talk to you. The next day or two, that person would come in and thank me. Never once did Pastor Bob not go to somebody that I mentioned to him. He might not have known them, he might have known them, but he would go to them and then he'd come back to me and say, we've had a good talk, thank you for calling me. He was the pastor of the town of Thurman. He was the only one here that I thought I could call, and he was always on time, always there when you needed him. And he was even there when he was talking about what Di was talking about, you know, his problem at the church that I talked to since I was 2 years old. He finally convinced me that I belonged over here in Thurman. And I really believe that I did, and I'm glad that I took his advice. And I know a lot of people here in the town of Thurman who has taken his advice. I'm very glad about it and have such great memories of him.
Hi, I'm Heather Shupp. I'm Pastor Shupp's daughter. Pastor Herrmann used to tell me I should have had a father like him. I believe he was right.
Rebuttal? Well, the whole story there. He used to tell Heather that, you know, she should have had a father like him, and Heather said, I already do.
My name's Ken Crater, and I pastor down at Durkeetown, Fort Edward. And I met Bob through the pastor fellowship that at the time was meeting in at Mountainside, Schroon Lake, with Roger Ellison leading. And Bob did have a way of drawing you into his life, and I was so appreciative of his friendship and impact, and a number of opportunities through the years to minister together and to share life together. It was amazing in how impactful, as I think back on those years. You know, we were contemporaries in one sense, but Bob understood pastoring in the North Country differently than most pastors I had met up to that point. And it was that kind of earthiness of his life that, as a city boy growing up in Chicago, you know, I didn't know a lot about. And I learned a tremendous amount from him about pastoring. And I was grateful for that, you know? I was just grateful for that. Joan, I want to reinforce that idea that Bob was willing to drop things to go minister to people. Because he and I had been talking about the coming football game between the Eagles and the Bears some years ago that was going to happen at 1 o'clock on a Sunday. And I know he'd be sitting in front of his television getting ready to watch. I was sitting in front of mine down in Fort Edward. And at about, 12:55, I called him on the phone and disguised my voice. I said, Pastor, I hear you're a man that loves people and will do anything if people are in need. And I have a great need right now. Do you think you could come to my house? Yeah, is it really important? I'm kind of watching just about kickoff, and I'm making them sweat it out. Like, oh yeah, it's a real need. I just don't know if I can make. Well, I'd be willing to come, and he would have, but I let him off the hook. I let him off the hook. It was that kind of testimony in Bob's life that made a difference in my life as a pastor, and I'm going to always be grateful for that. And Donna, my wife sends her prayers and greetings, and to your family, God's peace upon all of you. Guy?
And I don't need the mic. I've known Pastor since I married Cindy. 23 years. It doesn't seem possible. And I've grown to love this family. And Pastor Herrmann and Pastor Shop were always picking on me, and they'd say, here comes Betty Graham in trouble. And I was the only time that I would get away with calling them Herrmann or Bob or Shop, not out of disrespect, but for respect, because I loved them. Sitting in my chair, and I just looking at the sky, and I think of the song The Sparrow. Bob's free. He's a sparrow that is free. And I have a song that I want to sing to you. And I know you believe, but I just sat there and I want to sing this for you folks. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know that he watches me. I sing because I'm happy. I sing because I'm free, for his eye is on the sparrow, and I know that he watches me. He is free, he's singing, he's happy, and I'm happy because he's healed. No more suffering, and he will be with the church family and our pastor's wife. We love you. God bless.